We're here in conversation today with Mr. Vikram Kamat, who many of you will know as a successful entrepreneur, hotelier, restaurateur, and now successful author. Author of 8 books, in fact, on a very difficult subject for many of us, sales. And today we're here to talk about his flagship book, Sales Magic. So Vikram, a lot of people know you as a successful businessman, hotelier, restaurateur with brands such as Vitz Hotels and Kamat Restaurants. But it probably comes as a surprise to know that you've also written a book, and that too, a book about selling. So what really got you writing?
Well, actually, I got into sales. My first job was in sales at the age of 15. And I did all the good things that a sales guy does. I also did all the bad things that a sales guy does, right from faking appointments to getting up late and taking my first appointment after lunch. And so I did all of that, and that's how I really experienced the good side and all the bad side of sales. And being in the hotel business, we used to selling to B2B, B2C, travel agents. And come 2008, when the market was very slow, very tough for hotels, is when the passion for sales reignited, especially when I was trying to hire one really good salesperson from one of our competing hotels. And the way he interacted with me and what he told me made me realize sales is the edge that we need. And that's when I started roaming around with many of the top salespeople. Sales Magic is really about that journey and what I learned on that journey with all these salespeople.
And business is all about sales and getting the money in. So it really applies to business as a whole, and it's really about selling anything.
Absolutely, because as I said, it's a culmination of all the experiences of all the different businesses that I've experienced and what they salespeople do differently. And if you were to ask these salespeople what they do differently compared to others, they wouldn't know. And so it was about observing each one of them and seeing what they're doing. And that's the techniques that I got so much in love with. And the basic principle is how to get people to buy rather than be sold, because people want to buy and not be sold to.
I think for me, like reading the book, that was one thing that really hit home to me. The analogy that you drew on going and visiting the doctor and how that correlates to sales. And that just clicked something in my mind and changed the game for me.
I think this is an example that everybody relates to. Everybody's been to a doctor and seen how well they question. And you really open up very well to a doctor and openly tell them your pains and your problems. And that comes from good diagnosis. And good sales is all about good diagnosis, because then you can prescribe the ideal solution. Very often we think sales is about talking, whereas actually sales is about listening.
So the art of getting to a diagnosis through questioning is something you refer to in the book as Socratic questioning. Tell us a little more.
Firstly, the question is, who is Socrates? And Socrates was an ancient philosopher who lived more than 3,000 years ago. And he came up with something which seems quite obvious to us now, which is people don't like other people's ideas. And in selling, if you can get the other person to know that that's his idea or his solution, then they're easily going to accept it. And that's what Socratic selling is all about. Imagine if every prospect of yours told you how to sell to them rather than you having to force sell something to them. How easy would everybody's life be?
So with so much experience in sales, I'm sure you've seen some very interesting things that people have done or not done properly. I mean, give us some examples.
The smile on my face tells you what kind of stories I have. So I'm tagging along with this sales guy, and we go to this pretty big company. Both of us go in and we see this committee sitting on the other side of the table. There are about 5 people. And the head of the committee is one, maybe 45, 50-year-old gentleman. And the guy is a little bit trying to show, he's a strong guy, and says, "Oh, so tell us, what can you do for us?" And this guy gives him a very interesting look, takes a long pause and says, "I don't know." And the whole committee is absolutely flabbergasted. What are they supposed to answer? And this old man, who perhaps his ego was a little hurt, says, "What do you mean you don't know? You've come for this meeting and you don't know. How are you going to help us if you don't know what you're going to do for us?" So this guy says, "Sir, how can I tell you the ideal solution if I don't know what your problems are?" They just felt so embarrassed about being so aggressive for no reason. And that's a really good technique. I've called it the beginner's technique, where you be a beginner and do a good diagnosis. And the sale became so easy. They just answered every question after that. and he didn't have to do much to sell. In hindsight, I realized you have to keep an open mind and not try and talk too much and really listen, because then you can tell the ideal solution.
I think that's a trap we've all fallen into, where you want to talk about yourself, your product, your business, and you gush in, and it's a disaster. Give us another example. What's another story that you've got?
Well, now let me tell you a little bit more cheeky one. So I was with this sales, woman, if you can say, sales girl or saleswoman. She was in a business which was slightly commoditized business. Her product was in the premium end, and they were about 15-20% pricier than others, and she used to get questions on price a lot. Why are you more expensive than everybody else? And she had a really intelligent way of overcoming this. Once most of the things were solved and people would say, oh, yours is more expensive than others, she would say, sir, let me ask you a simple question. Why do you think we are 20% more than our competition? And the person would say something like, I don't know, maybe because your product is more premium, or because your after sales service is better, or because you have a strong reputation. And no matter what that person would say, no matter what this woman would say, absolutely sir, you're absolutely right, and that's why we're 20%, and that's why you should do business with us. And believe it or not, 90 to 95% of the time people would be happy, because she was making them answer how to sell to them.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people watching this, right now going, well, this is all very well and good, but my business is different. What have you got to say to those people?
I think anybody that thinks that my business is different, or my product is different, or this is fine for somebody else but not for me, it's a classic case of having a closed mind. Let me give you a perfect example for this. Henry Ford, the father of the mass production automobile. When he was trying to sell the automobile across America, which is huge, he obviously didn't have a network like others. So that's when he devised the dealer distributor network, which is he would sell the cars to his dealers in a local area, and then they would sell onward to the people of the locality. And I'm sure that a lot of people at that time said, this dealer distributor network, well, that's fine for the auto industry, but it won't work for us. But the fact is, it does.
So Vikram, as a businesswoman myself, I know what it's like when, difficult things can get, when sales just isn't working, and you really start to get desperate, don't you?
Yes, sales is the cause and the solution to most business problems. Sales is the only department which is getting money in. Every other department is an expense, and that's why sales is so important, and that's where business owners need to focus, especially today we're in the startup age, where a lot of startups are there, and they're very good technical people, but they're not very good sales people, or they're not very good at selling or knowing what to do about selling, and so they struggle in business, and that's really disheartening to see, and that's part of why I wrote the book.
So where can people at home get their hands on this magic book?
So it's available online on all the bookstores, and you can just Google Sales Magic.
So whether you're just starting out on your business or sales journey, or you've been doing this for 20 years, pick up your copy today. There's something in this for everyone. Vikram Kamat, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.